my wife and I looked at each other and was like, this is broken. We gotta do something different. I was laid off. I was like, what am I gonna do now? Right? I gave so much to this organization, to this work. It came at the anniversary of being in the US, almost 24 years. I worked a lot and I was like, why not? I mean, it's just, let's do it now. The whole immigrant story of like, you gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta work. And I found myself, a little bit empty inside, right? I have made work my identity.
And welcome to the Dare to Start interview series. My name is Alina, and for 30 days, I am talking with brave women and men who dare to start. Whether it was a business, an idea, a dream, in this case, that maybe felt scary at first. And the goal is to show you that with every big accomplishment, every big goal that you reach, is because you dare to start and to give that first step. Today, I am extremely excited, honored, and a little bit nervous too, to interview my dear friend, colleague, professional that I admire, Hugo Castro. Hugo, or Guillo, how I call you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alina. It is a pleasure to be here and being in your podcast and this series. Like, I know I've been following you, and this is super excited to see and hear from other folks that are making decisions. They're daring to start something new. And I'm excited to be here. You and I have worked for a long time, and this is a great opportunity to share what I've learned over the past few months on my sabbatical with other folks, and kind of why I decided to take it and why now. So I'm excited to dive in with you on this.
Amazing, amazing. So, of course, I know a lot about you, but the people watching you may not. So, can you just give us a quick introduction? Who is Hugo Castro?
Sure. So let me give you the long story in a short way, right? So my name is Hugo, and I moved to the United States when I was 15 years old, and then I've been in the US for about 25 years. And my professional career, I've worked in the nonprofit sector, so both in nonprofits and on the grant making side, the philanthropic side. And I live both in Florida and Washington, D.C. And I loved it, right? I love working with nonprofits, mission-driven organizations that are doing good in the world. And most recently, I've taken a sabbatical. So I've been on a sabbatical for about 9 months now. Unofficially, officially, maybe about 3 months in a sabbatical. And I'm excited to share why this happened. But that give you a little bit of context. My professional career has mostly been in operations, technology, business development, and I have had about 3 different careers through my professional experience, right? So it's always change has been a constant in my life.
Yeah, I think a constant in a lot of people. So that's amazing. And yes, I really want to concentrate on your dream, which he already gave me permission to say this. He just turned 40, and like he said, he's doing his sabbatical, which is a dream for many, and to accomplish it this early in his life is truly amazing, and that's what we're gonna dive in. So tell me, why a sabbatical, why now, and why you decided to go on this journey.
Sure. I think I probably need to take you back a few years back, right? I think at the start of the pandemic, everything changed for a lot of people, right? Very suddenly, you were working in an office, and now you're trying to figure out how to do this from home. You have a partner that is also working from home. You have other responsibilities. The world is falling apart, and folks are expecting you to like work, right, and still be productive. And most research and most folks have found out that people experience a lot of burnout during this time, right? And this is when my wife and I looked at each other and we said, "This is broken. We gotta do something differently if we want to be able to enjoy our lives." So that started a plan for us to think about what it would look like for us to take an extended time off in the future, right? So that means that we started thinking strategically, doing financial planning, kind of planning of what that might look like. And then for me, it was just really looking at life, at this lifespan that we have here on Earth, as a way to, one, what is the good that I'm doing in the world, and how can I do more of it? The work that I was doing on the nonprofits and organizations that I work that was great, and it was something um, that I needed to see differently and change, right? So I started doing a lot of research about sabbaticals and when people take time off, right? There's a great researcher, DJ Didona. He actually started a sabbatical project. He went to Harvard and he had a startup and he worked a lot and he burned out as well. So he started recollecting or collecting stories of folks that have taken sabbaticals and started reading some of that. And I started reaching out to my community and asking folks, it's like, okay, when do you take time off, right? And Alina, you might relate to this, but I don't remember a time when I was able to fully unplug in vacation, right? Like I will take time off, but you're like, okay, you're checking emails, you're checking Slack, you're checking notifications, you're quickly responding to things. And we have a culture, especially at least my experience in the US, where you always have to be on. Technology has been great for folks, right? We're able to do so many different things from different places, but that means that we have to be on. And culturally, I think there's been some changes where there's more the ability to disconnect, but it's not enough, right? So one of the things that DJ Didona found is that usually it takes about at least 6 weeks for folks to be able to kind of feel that like they're not working or they're not sabbatical. So for me, it was okay, I gotta take a sabbatical that's a little bit longer, right? And another person that influenced me was this guy. His name is Stefan Sagmeister. He did a TED Talk where he shared, he has a design office in New York City, and shared that, like most folks, when you think about it, we study, we go to school for about 20 years, right? Then we work for another 40 years or so. And then we live our lives for the next 15 years, right? Like retirement. And he said, like, what if we take some time out of those retirement years and we put them during the working years? So he decided that every 5 or 7 years, he was going to close his design office for 1 year, if everyone paid and all that kind of stuff, to kind of like re-energize. And he found that people were able to come up with better ideas for their designs. They weren't reparatives, right? So there's something about the neuroplasticity about resting and coming up with better ideas, coming revisionated. So like maybe 1 week, 2 weeks is not enough. Maybe you need a little bit longer. So that tells you a little bit of kind of where my headspace was in. And I know we're gonna dive deeper into it, but that's kind of what I was thinking when I decided to take a sabbatical. And I wanted to do it before I turned 40, right? It was one of those things that it came at the anniversary of being in the US, almost 24 years. I worked a lot. And I was like, why not? I mean, it's just, let's do it now. So I can get into the details later, but it's kind of what sparked the idea for it.
I think that is amazing. And you know what? Something that I love about your character, which I think maybe that's why we're good friends, because I'm a little bit more freestyle. Let's just go with the flow. You are more analytical and let's do research first. Let's see what's happening. Let's find the tools, let's find the people. And I love that you did your homework, because I think my style of let's just go and live life sometimes is great, but sometimes it's not that good. So
other out, it's good.
So you mentioned your wife, so of course this is not a solo decision. Do you remember, I mean, you mentioned the pandemic and everything, but do you remember like a specific day, a specific moment, like something that you guys are like, yes, we are doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably year 2 of the pandemic that we just decided it's like, there's got to be more to this, right? So I'm a person that's always been working. There's the whole immigrant story of like, you got to work, you got to work, you got to work. And I found myself, a little bit empty inside. Right, I have made work my identity, and I knew that something needed to change. And my wife and I both agreed that both her job and my job were taking a lot of our lives, and we decided that we're gonna save money, invest money, and we're gonna kind of try to take 6 months to a year off in the near future. So we were planning maybe like something like 2026 or 2027 or something on those lines. However,
So this
I
came
think
early then.
it came early. Yeah. So you can never plan enough, right? So you told me that like, oh, you're a planner, all kind of stuff. But um, one of the things that I've learned is that you cannot wait until all your ducks are in a row, right? You have to take risks. It reminds me, there's actually a great researcher. Her name is Hermiana Ibarra. I believe she's in London, and she's a professor of organization development. And she wrote a book about career transitions. And she talked about how folks don't experience career transitions by planning, the transition. I mean, there's some planning involved, but there's a doing part of it. You got to do what you want to do. Otherwise, you won't know if that's what you want to do really.
Yeah.
So there was some restructuring kind of changes on my job. I got laid off in December of 2024, and that accelerated the timeline.
I
Right.
see.
It was a time that was like, okay, do I go get another full-time job right now, knowing that maybe in a year or two I want to take time off. Right.
Mhm.
It didn't feel right working for an organization and saying, hey, I'm gonna be working for a year, and then like, bye bye, I'm leaving for a year. Right.
Yeah.
So I was exploring different ways of like doing like unpaid leave and working part-time or something on those lines. And in that decision, that change happened. So that forced me to go through an inner transition. So I don't know, you're familiar with change management, maybe your listeners and viewers are as well. But there's something about like change is what's happening externally, right? There's the external change that happens. Then the transition is the work that happens internally, right? And there's a kind of like, you have to let go of something. You have to name of what you're letting go. There's
Mhm.
this period of in between of like, it feels sucky. You don't know what you're doing. You're trying to figure things out. And there's new beginnings. Was this like the new habits, new ways to doing things that start kicking in, and that becomes your new normal. So for
Yeah.
me, that's what happened, right? I was laid off. I was like, what am I gonna do now? Right? I gave so much to this organization, to this work, and that accelerated the timeline. So that's when my wife and I started planning for from January to around March. So like, what are we gonna be doing? We're gonna be moving. So we ended up kind of renting our condo in Washington D.C. and moving to an area where we were able to kind of live well below our means. It was less expensive. Washington D.C. is super expensive to live in. So we're able to kind of like move to a place where we're able to like pay less for rent and cost of living to make that happen, right? So since then, that's kind of what we've been doing, right? So the decision was kind of this change happened, and she and I had a conversation where like, okay, let's accelerate our timeline and do this now. And it
Yeah.
just happened to coincide with my 40th birthday. So I can say that I started my first sabbatical before I turned 40. And
I
what I'm learning is that this is not going to be my last one. Even if I go back to work again, I want to make this part of my rituals, right? Where it's like maybe not as long as the sabbatical, but maybe it's like a whole month off or something on those lines that I think
yeah.
I want to implement in my career. And I encourage other people to think about that as well, just because it can really change you.
And you know what? And it's possible. And it's possible too. Because here's the thing. Sometimes we do need that extra push, getting laid off or things happening. Because sometimes, although we want it, we kind of need someone to like, look, yes, go ahead. You're ready. But at the same time, taking that time off is really something that sometimes is in your mind. As I hear you talking, I actually also have had forced time off, never planned it that way. But now that I'm like hearing you talk, and I'm like, oh my God, because for example, even when I graduated from high school, I did decided that I wanted to take time off to learn English, and that's why I decided to come to the US. But that prolonged to almost 4 years before I started college. So that was like a huge gap there. When I started working, when you and I started working, I also remember that I had to go to Colombia to take care of some family business, and that was also another gap in my career. But that led me to another field that, which was digital marketing, which is amazing. And now thinking also about even caregiving, maternity leave, all the stuff, which is forced in a way if you're not planning for it. But if you're planning for it, it's also time off. But you're right, you do come back more energized. And also to take a page from other countries that are doing it really well. I also had the pleasure to work with Denmark. And in that culture, a lot of people now ask me, like, why you can't just like turn your computer off and like just be done?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
for 5 years and they truly shut the computer off until next day. And at the beginning, it was so hard for me to kind of get into it. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's go have breakfast. Let's go have lunch. Let's take a month off. So I think everything that the research has said, you are experiencing it. I have experienced one way or another. And I think there is a lot to say. But of course, everybody has just to try it for themselves. Because we can say a lot of stuff, but they can only experience it. So maybe people are watching this and like, oh my God, yes, I need to take them off. This sounds great. Now that you did it and that you're in it, I'm sure that you have had fears, doubts, or like, oh my God, am I in the right path? If that has happened to you, can you name that fear and maybe how you can, how you have overcome it?
Yeah, I think my biggest fear probably was like, what if I'm not able to get a job after I take my sabbatical? What if potential employers might look at the gap on my resume and think, like, oh, is this person serious about what they're doing? And that's not a legitimate fear. However, what I found through my own experience and research, right? Like I say, DJ Didona, if folks haven't visited the sabbatical project, go and look at it. There's plenty of stories
We're gonna
of
put the
folks
information
taking
below.
sabbaticals. Yeah. And what I saw is just like that wasn't an issue, right? I think that taking a sabbatical early in your career or like mid-career, right? I'm mid-career. It is something actually that I found that is good, right? Because there's different types of sabbaticals that people can take, right? You can take kind of like entrepreneur sabbaticals, right? So you start doing, starting new businesses, new ideas, or something like that. Where you sabbatical, you take some rest because sabbatical is not like, like I'm not sitting on a hammock all day sipping margaritas, right? Like that's not my sabbatical, right? So I'm reading, I'm connected with people. Community is a big part of that sabbatical, right? So being in community and knowing other people was really able to kind of like bounce ideas off of them. It's like, and what I heard from most people is like, no, you have a great, experience, right? Like you've done a lot of great projects, you're known in the community, and it's actually going to be something good. So when I come back to an organization, or if I start my own thing or something on those lines, I'm coming with a lived experience to be able to like rest and be able to like read and research and have that time to be able to kind of really give my brain the opportunity to think about new ideas where we are not reactive, but we are more I don't like proactiveness, but I like more intentional, right? So
Intentional.
we're not react to everything that's happening around us, but we are intentional about what we pay attention to and what's going to move the needle at my next organization, right? To accomplish the mission.
And I tell you something, Hugo. Even from like a woman's perspective with maternity, when I was working with the agency, my clients were hiring women that had 1 or 2 year maternity leaves, and that really didn't that wasn't even a hesitation or a question, because now I think companies, if you don't value the person's well-being and the person's life, we all have a life.
Yeah.
If you don't value that, one, probably you shouldn't be working for that company, and two,
Right.
the company really needs to evolve because
Yeah.
that's how the world is evolving. So I think it's a very valid fear, but from the experience that I have of companies hiring talent with gaps, if it's a reasonable gap, honestly, that's not even an obstacle. So don't worry about that.
And you're right, Alina. I mean, like one of the things is like it is we have this productivity paradigm, right? The idea of like the more we work, the more we have to produce, right? And historically, productivity has never been higher in the history of the world, right? And yet people like suicide rates are up, like health issues related to stress are up, right? So like there's something that is not working currently, right? So there's got to be a way to step back, right? Like I think there's a lot of research right now on like the 4-day work week, right? Where companies have implemented that and productivity has not gone down, it actually has gone up. But it has allowed people to kind of like, you don't have to take a sick day, right? Because you already know that you're gonna have this day off, that you already can plan like time with your family around this kind of stuff, right? So there's ways in which I think the future of work has to has to change, right? This kind of productivity wheel where you always have to be producing in 100% all the time is just gonna burn people out. We are humans, right? And one of the things that makes us unique as humans is that we have to be connected with one another, right? So
I
being
agree. I agree. I was just checking my baby, speaking about being productive, doing multiple things at the same time,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
making sure that she's good. So you have learned a lot, and you're gonna continue to learn. And I know that this may be a hard question, but out of all your experience so far, even from the idea since the pandemic, let's take a sabbatical, to now actually living it, if you have to pick only one teaching, something that you have learned that you would like to share with everybody watching this interview, what would it be?
Oh God. That's a good question. I think I love this metaphor, and is that
Can you say that again?
I love this metaphor, and it's like don't wait until the car breaks down in the middle of the highway to like do maintenance of your car, right? Like you take your car monthly to the mechanic to make changes and all kind of stuff. Your life is like that. Don't wait until like you're having a mental breakdown and burnout experience to take the time off, right? If you are purposely thinking about it, planning for it, I think it will make your life and your work life, your personal life a lot better. So don't wait until like you cannot do it anymore to take time off. And I understand that like not everyone is able to do this, right? Like I understand there's financial constraints, there's kids and all kind of stuff, right? Like and I think there might be ways in which maybe you're not able to take 3 months off, but you can take maybe 4 weeks or 3 weeks, right? And being intentional that time. The idea is that fully disconnect from work and focus on passion projects, focus on reading, finishing some other things that you've been wanting to do. And I promise you that people will be thinking differently about work and will be more strategic about how they approach their work. So that'll be maybe one thing I want to tell people.
Amazing. And something to add to that for people that are thinking, oh, yeah, this might be nice for you to say because you X, Y, and Z. Well, in my case, I feel like I have a little bit of authority in the case because I had been a caregiver, a new mom, taking care of the house and working in a business. And I also take Hugo's advice. For me, Saturdays are sacred. I don't do anything related to work. I like, of course, I have to take care of my baby, but I kind of like leave the responsibilities more to my husband. Like if I just wanna watch Netflix, I'll do it. And that's something that I learned about myself when I was doing my master's, that I needed that time for myself. So even if you have tons of responsibility, if there is a will, there is a way. So you can do it, even if it's just one day a week. Okay, so I think people are super excited and ready to take some time off so that their car meaning their body doesn't get into a car accident, but maybe they have fears, they feel stuck. What words of advice or what words of encouragement, what words of advice or encouragement would you give to them?
Yep. You're not alone. You're not an island. There's a community around you. There's people that care about you. There's people that want the best for you. And rely on other people's stories and other people how they done it, and you can craft your master plan on how you might be able to take time off. You can reach me I'm on LinkedIn, right? Hugo Castro. Also, during one of my projects during the sabbatical, I launched the Accidental Techie, which is helping folks transition from that reactive to that strategic mode, right? Helping kind of the nonprofit techie, that person that ended up doing all the tech things without having the training, how they can learn and move to a more strategic role in the future. So, and folks can also reach out to me through photography. I have an Instagram called Hugo Photos. I have a website, Hugo Castro Photography. That's another passion project of mine. And you can follow my photography. One of the things I'm doing in photography is really creating photography and spaces and prints that bring peace into people's lives, right? So I'm big into creating spaces where people feel like they can be themselves. So my goal is to create photography where people can see and just feel calmer after looking at a photo of mine. So that's one way that people can reach out to me. LinkedIn again, and yeah, I feel free to reach out if you want to talk about sabbaticals. I'm more than happy to help.
Amazing. And speaking about LinkedIn, precisely this week, it was not planned, but you published an amazing article. I was reading it and I was like, oh my God, yes, and yes, and yes. So we're also going to add the link here so that if you're interested in this topic, you can go and read it. Hugo, thank you so much for this time. I truly admire you because you are only not somebody that you're a strategic thinker because you research, you plan, but you're also an executor. And that's something that not many people are. They're either on one side or the other. You are both. And that's one of the many reasons why I admire you. So thank you for being here. And for everybody else watching, if you are inspired, if you want to start your idea, I want to remind you about the Dare to Start challenge. It's very simple. You give us your idea. We send you marketing lessons that would help you give frameworks, steps, strategic planning so you can start executing that idea. With the goal is that you take the first step. So also the link is below. I hope to see you there, and I hope to see you in the other interviews. Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you, Alina. Bye.